You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. Picture this. It's 3:58 p.m. You're standing by the door with a snack ready, telling yourself, today we're doing the calm version. The teacher just emailed, great day. Your kid walks in the door, the backpack hits the floor like a mic drop, shoes fly off, and your kid's face shifts, like someone unplugged them. You say, hey bud, how was your day? And they snap, I don't know, like you accused them of a crime. You try the gentle transition, let's have a snack and then we can start homework. And then suddenly you're in it. The homework packet comes out and it's not even hard. It's 5 questions. It's 1 paragraph. It's a worksheet they could have done in their sleep at 10:30 in the morning, but now they stare at it like it's a personal attack. One erased letter turns into, I'm stupid. The pencil breaks. They slam the table. They crumple the page, or they melt into the chair, and you can literally watch their body go offline. And you're standing there thinking, how are we doing this again? Because you're not a bad parent. This isn't a spoiled kid. This is a kid who's been holding it together all day and spending the last ounce of self-control the second they feel safe with you. Then comes the part parents don't say out loud. The email draft to the teacher. You open your phone and you type, hi, I'm sorry to bother you. You delete it again. You type again. I'm not sure if this is relevant or not. Delete it. And the loop starts. If I email, will I sound dramatic? Will they think I'm blaming them? Will they say, we don't see that here? Will they act like this is just a home problem? And you're stuck between 2 realities, where school says he's fine, and at home it feels like we're drowning. So in this episode, I'm going to give you the language that bridges that gap. Not a long email, not a legal sounding one, a confident, calm one that says, here's the pattern, here's the impact, here's what we're asking you to try for 10 days. Take 1 breath with me, because before we talk scripts, I want to remind you what your role is here and why you're allowed to hit send. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist and parent coach, and this is the place where we make the homeschool puzzle less mysterious for parents of strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kiddos. Before we go any further, I want to say this clearly. Parents have a right to advocate and ask schools for things. And parents have expertise in their children. And we're doing a whole child approach today because we're accounting for all the facets of development, emotional well-being, social well-being, academic well-being, and how those things show up sometimes differently at home and at school. I'll say it again. Schools get a lot of things right, so many things right. And sometimes they get things wrong too. Your job is to do what's best for your child. And here's our metaphor for the whole episode. We're not summiting Everest. We're trying to get to the next step. You don't have to solve your child's entire life in 1 email. You're not asking the school to rebuild the mountain. You're asking for 1 small shift that gives everyone a little bit more oxygen. 1 support, 10 school days, Then we check the map. Now let's name the part nobody says out loud. Because the reason this feels so hard isn't that you don't care. It's that you're trying to advocate while you're exhausted and second guessing yourself. Let's normalize the thing people feel ashamed to say out loud. A lot of parents draft the email 12 times, and it starts with something like, sorry to bother you. And then they either over-explain like they're on trial and need evidence, or they go silent because they're scared of being labeled that parent, or they're worried about getting hit with, we don't see that here. Here's your one sentence truth for today. You don't need to prove anything or write the perfect email. You just need to name the pattern and ask the school to try one small step for 10 school days. Because collaboration beats convincing. Here's my mic drop version. Stop apologizing for advocating. A clear request isn't drama, it's data. And if you've ever gotten stuck at the we don't see that here, I want to give you a spicier but still parent-safe reframe for what might actually be happening on the other side of the inbox. A lot of the we don't see that here in schools isn't denial. It's a staffing and systems problem. Teachers work so hard, and they had the most important job of teaching our children and keeping them safe in schools. And when teachers are at school with your children in the classroom, they are scanning for what they can. They're looking what they can confirm, measure, act on in a busy classroom where your child is one of maybe 18 or 20 students in the class. So if your email reads like a court case, here are 14 examples, 3 screenshots, and my theory, their brain goes, I don't have time. I need a lesson plan. I don't know what this parent wants. I'm not touching something that sounds like a diagnosis. So they default to the easiest and safest response, which is, we don't see that here. What I want parents to stop doing immediately because it backfires is stop writing emails that are trying to convince instead of collaborate. That looks like the novel that's too long with way too many examples, or the diagnosis email like, I think it's ADHD or anxiety or sensory processing, or the blame vibe of, what are you doing about this? This is unacceptable. The vague cry for help of, he's struggling, please help. The apology sandwich of, sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. Sorry again. Your replacement move is write an email that makes it easy to say yes. One pattern, one impact, one 10-day trial request. Here's some example lines that parents can borrow from me. Even if you're not seeing it in class, could we treat this like a quick data experiment? Try X for 10 days and see if it improves stamina or transition success. Even if you're not seeing it in class, could we treat this like a quick data experiment? Try X for 10 school days and see if it improves stamina and transition success. And your punchy close to the ask is this. If X isn't feasible, what's the closest equivalent we can do? That's the whole game. Stop pleading, stop prosecuting, start piloting. So if we're not writing a novel and we're not writing a diagnosis email, what are we writing? Here's the simplest filter that keeps you out of the shame spiral. If you feel yourself spiraling into Everest email mode, here's the simplest filter. Include one pattern, one impact, one request, one timeline. Leave out the novel, the diagnosis email, the apology sandwich. And I want to name this reframe because it lowers shame fast. When schools get an email that's clear, pattern, impact, one small trial, it's a relief. It tells them what to look for, what to try, and how to know if it helped. Rest stop, not Everest. Now I'm going to hand you the exact structure so you're not staring at a blank email draft at 10:47 at night, trying to invent words while you're fried. Here's the structure. Save this, screenshot it, put it in your notes app. It's going to look something like this. The subject line, your request plus the topic plus your kid's name. The body of the email, it's 6 things. 1, the shared goal you have for your kid. Number 2 is the pattern, 2 or 3 concrete bullets of what you're seeing at home. Number 3 is the impact of what is happening with your child, what it costs your kid. Number 4, one specific ask of the school and the teacher. Something that's going to have a high acceptance rate by the teacher. Number 5, a 10 school day trial plus how you'll measure its impact. And number 6, just an easy reply option for the teacher and express gratitude. Now here's what this looks like with sentences. Here's the 6-sentence rule. It looks something like this. I want to partner with you to support. Number 2, we're noticing. Number 3, it looks like. Number 4, the impact is. Number 5, could we try blank for 10 school days and see if blank improves? Number 6, if that's not feasible, what's the closest equivalent you can do? Now, here's an example of an email filled out. It can say something like this. Hi, Ms. Lopez. I'm reaching out because I want to partner on supporting Jordan's stamina and regulation across the school day. At home, we're seeing a consistent after-school crash most days. Here are my 3 bullet points. Quick snapping, I don't know, when asked about school. Intense frustration with easy homework. Tears, saying I'm stupid, crumpling papers. Difficulty starting and staying with tasks after school. The impact is that Jordan is depleted and homework becomes a regulation battle, not a learning moment. Could we treat this like a quick data experiment? Try chunking independent work, start with 3 items, quick check-in, then the next set for 10 school days and see if task start and stamina improve. If chunking isn't feasible, what's the closest equivalent you can do? Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so you've got the structure. Now the next question is the one every parent asks me. Cool, Dr. Amy, but what do I actually ask for that a school can realistically say yes to? This is where we want to be really specific because we want to think about where your kid falls apart and pick specific asks that match that. So for example, there's a couple that come to mind. First one is output battles. So it might be something like asking the school, can we allow type responses or reduce copying when the goal isn't handwriting? Or could he start with 3 problems, then check in for the next set? That's what we call chunking. When it comes to transitions and escalation, you might ask for something like, can we use a 2-minute warning and a job during the transition, like being a line leader or helper? Or if he gets upset, can we offer a brief reset option, like getting a drink of water, walking to another teacher's classroom, or using the calming corner, and then re-entry to the task that he needs to do? For attention and stamina dips, we can ask something like, could you give a start prompt for the first step and check back in 3 minutes? Can we build in a short movement break after sustained seat work? When you hear the we don't see it here mismatch, you might ask something like, even if it's not obvious in class, could we still try a small proactive support and see if it changes my child's stamina or engagement? Or you could ask, if it's not happening in class, could it be showing up in unstructured times, like arrival, lunch, recess, dismissal? Another area was related to social stress. And you might ask something like, can an adult do a quick lunch or recess check-in twice a week to support peer navigation? Or could we identify one safe person he can go to if there's a peer issue? Now, this next part is for the parent who is not in planning mode. You already sent the email. It's been 3 days. It's Thursday night. You're doom scrolling and you're like, what do I do next? So this is for the parent who sent the email 3 days ago and hasn't heard back. Step 1 is to follow up after 3 days. And you can say something quick like this in your email. You can say something like this. Hi, Mrs. Lopez, just bumping this. Inboxes are intense. I'm hoping we can land on one next step for my child around blank. Would you prefer a quick call, a short email reply, or looping in maybe the counselor? All right, step 2 is after another 2 or 3 days. This is where you've already followed up with the teacher and you still haven't gotten a response. This is where you can loop in the school administrators or support staff to help coordinate supports for your child. So it could be coordination request. So hi, Mrs. Lopez and school counselor and principal. I'm reaching out to coordinate support for my child so home and school are aligned. We're noticing brief pattern and the impact it's having on my child. Could we identify one support to try for 10 school days and a plan for how we'll check whether it helps? Thank you. I appreciate your partnership. Step 3, this is when your gut says something's off. And you might be looking at a meeting at school and supports or even an evaluation conversation with the school. And you can write an email like this. Hi, I'm requesting a meeting to review concerns and consider supports for my child. At home, we're seeing blank, and we'd like help collecting school data to better understand what's going on and what supports improve access and regulation. I'm not asking anyone to diagnose, just to partner on a whole child support plan and to discuss whether a formal evaluation process is appropriate. What are the next steps and timeline to initiate this meeting process? Thank you. Okay. And if you're hearing supports and evaluation makes your brain go blank, this is where I want to put my school psych brain in your back pocket. So you're not trying to figure out the entire mountain from the parking lot. Okay, so this is a part where I put something in your back pocket, because if you're listening to this episode and thinking, we're asking for accommodations, but I don't even know what I'm supposed to request, or I have a gut feeling something's off, but I don't know how to collect the kind of data that helps, or do we need a student support plan, special education services, a formal psychoeducational evaluation by the school psychologist? What do I ask for? What do I ask for without sounding dramatic or clueless? That's exactly why I made this freebie, the School Psych in Your Back Pocket, the school testing toolkit for kindergarten through 12th grade. It's linked in the show notes. And the reason this matters is simple. A lot of parents are trying to build Everest in one email because they feel like they have to solve the whole mystery alone. But you don't. You can ask the school to help you understand what's going on, and you can ask for help collecting data that supports or refutes what your gut is telling you. Especially in those K-5 years where you're watching patterns emerge and thinking, something's not adding up. So you're at the we need more than another week of duct tape solutions point. This toolkit is your next rest stop, because you're not asking the school to rebuild the mountain. You're asking for clarity, next steps, and a plan. Rest stop, not Everest. Now that you've got the email structure and the next steps map, let's do a quick school translator minute, because schools move on what they can observe and implement. Schools move on data and feasibility. Families live in patterns and impact. So here's the translator questions. If it's not happening in class, could it be showing up in unstructured times? Arrival, lunch, recess, dismissal? What are you noticing during transitions or independent work? What helps when it starts going sideways? What's the plan and timeline for trying supports? Who's the point person if we need to adjust? And this is where the whole child lens matters. Supportive relationships, family support, school support, and peer support are all associated with kids' mental well-being. And there can be a cumulative protective effect when multiple sources of support are present. So when you're asking for support, you're not being dramatic. You're doing whole child work. Also, strong family-school partnership isn't a nice extra. It's a real model. Homeschool collaboration is an active partnership where families and educators develop shared goals and plans, not just passive parent involvement. Rest stop, not Everest. Partnership is built in small steps. Before you hit replay and start rewriting your email for the 12th time, I want to land this with tiny wins you can do this week, even if you're exhausted. Here are your tiny wins. Choose one. Tiny win number 1. Write your email using pattern, impact, one ask, 10-day trial, and stop. Tiny win number 2. Put your ask in the subject line. Tiny win number 3. Use 2 to 3 bullets instead of paragraphs in the email you send. Tiny win number 4. Add a time-bound option, like, could we connect by Friday? Tiny win number 5. Save your scripts as notes titled School Email Rest Stop. Pick one is enough. Here's your reflection question for this episode. What would change if you believed you don't have to convince anyone? You just have to start a small pilot. And if you want a little extra support for the accommodations, testing, evaluation side, so you're not Googling school acronyms at midnight, I've got you. If you're at the point where you're thinking about accommodations, a support plan, or a psychoeducational evaluation, and you want to know what to ask for without spiraling, grab my free resource. It's called the School Psych in Your Back Pocket, the School Testing Toolkit. Because you're not trying to summit Everest in one email. You're trying to get to the next rest stop. Then we check the map. All right, deep breath. Let me close this the way I always want to close these episodes. I'm really honored to be one of the people cheering you on as you parent your strong-willed, big-feeling kid, especially in that very specific window of time where the socks are off, the water bottle has disappeared into another dimension, and it's still somehow your job to be calm about it. We'll keep making the homeschool puzzles less mysterious together. One better question at a time, one same kid different math reminder at a time, one reset before requests after school, one log sentence, one email that's clear and firm without being a novel. And the next time you sit at that tiny round table in that tiny chair, remember, schools have expertise, and you are the expert on your child. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind, you're building a partnership, and you're building skills, yours and theirs, one small, doable step at a time. Until next time, friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not so typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psychtoparent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.